Hello and hello. Thank you so much for joining me today. How you doing? 5 major inventions you didn't know were German. From the German YouTube legend, Feli from Germany. You already know her. Okay, I'm not even gonna lie. It's not a small and up-and-coming YouTube channel. She's a German YouTube legend. Check her out, link down below. Did they add a little square around the check this? That's interesting. Anyway. This seems like this is a fascinating subject. 5 major inventions. Let's see. What, the car? It's not like you guys invented the car, right? Or the printing press. What could it be?
You use it every day.
Well, I don't use a printing press every day. So, I'm actually curious to see how many of these I know. You know, let's see, 5 of them.
You use it every day. I use it every day, and so do people all over the world. But did you know that it was invented in Germany?
The car, yes.
I didn't either, so it's about time that we talk about these 5 major inventions you didn't know were German.
Damn, she's got some serious enthusiasm. She's got like some American enthusiasm.
Hello.
Wait, is she originally from America or Germany?
Servus and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Feli. I'm originally from Munich, Germany.
Thank you for answering the question. Wait, is this a live video call? I thought I was watching a video.
But I've been living here in Cincinnati, Ohio, on and off since 2016. And as
Got
a German
it.
living abroad,
She has an incredibly good American accent.
Cincinnati, Ohio, on and off since 2016. And as a German living abroad, I noticed that my home country is actually brought up a lot more often than I ever would have expected. I mean, I did expect for Nazi history to be a topic that would come up, but I found that even in conversations about cultural topics, American history, technology, the economy, Germany somehow always plays a role. And I was reminded of that yet again.
True.
When the Barbie movie and Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer came out last month, so it's definitely time for a part
This video is a couple years old.
2 of major inventions you didn't know were German. In part
Okay.
1 from
Wait, but what does the Barbie movie have to do with Germany? Wait, Barbie's an American brand, right? But I'm just confused because she said, like, that's an example of German. Let me just look this up. I'm a little confused. Is Barbie Germany? Because, wait. Oh, the toy was based on the German build little. Well, shit. The Build Lily doll. Wow, I play with Barbies every day. Is that number 1? I play with Barbies every day, and I didn't know they were German. No, I don't play with Barbies, but yeah, that's crazy.
a few months ago, we already learned that we wouldn't have MP3 today if it wasn't for a German research team, or X-rays, or fridges, just to name a few. Make sure to check out the full video to have your mind.
Do kids even know what MP3 is? It's interesting how I feel like that's like a boomer term at this point. I just kind of realized that. Like talking about, a music file. Everybody streams music now. So it's like, back in the day, in my day, this is fun getting to be old. Back in my day, you had an MP3 player, and you would steal MP3 files online on LimeWire or the Pirate Bay and play them on your MP3 player. Nowadays, kids don't even know audio formats, dude. Disgusting.
Blown, but the list is much longer. The first invention for today is Aspirin, or in German, Aspirin, which was invented by the German pharmaceutical company Bayer in the late 1800s.
That's pronounced Bayer? I thought it was Bayer.
Aspirin is the brand name that Bayer gave the medication, but the active ingredient is acetyl salicylic acid.
Interesting. So you guys actually called it aspirin? Even in Germany? Like, I assumed that was an American name.
gave the medication, but the active ingredient is acetyl salicylic acid, which is why it's also often referred to as ASA or ASS in German. It can reduce pain, fever.
ASS. Aspirin's an interesting one because I don't ever use it. I use acetaminophen, which is Tylenol, and ibuprofen. But aspirin's like super common. A lot of people use it for heart, like to prevent a heart attack or something.
Inflammation, and as was discovered in the 1950s, it can also help prevent blood clots. Technically, humans have been using plants that were rich in salicylic acid, such as willow bark, for thousands of years, but it wasn't until the 19th century that chemists tried to isolate and synthetically create the acid. The final breakthrough took place in the biolab in Elberfeld in the year 1897. The young pharmacist and
that long ago? Whoa, that was weird. You see this little orange glow around the circle? I'm like, they added an orange glow around the circle? Because they also added that square around this. I'm like, what? They also added a glowing circle. That's kind of weird, but that's actually just her background. Anyway, sorry.
Lab in Elberfeld in the year 1897. The young pharmacist and chemist Felix Hoffmann was hired to create new drugs.
Damn, I know I'm getting old because that guy, all of a sudden, I know if I had seen that picture as a kid, I'd be like, that guy's old as hell. Now I look at it, I'm like, that guy's young as hell. He just has a beard and a mustache. He's like 20, 25.
The young pharmacist and chemist Felix Hoffmann was hired to create new drugs in the lab. He worked under Arthur Eichengrün. And there are different versions of the story, but according to Bayer itself, Hoffmann's father was suffering from rheumatism and complained about the bitter taste of the salicylic acid that he was taking to reduce his symptoms. It also burnt the lining of his stomach and mouth, which is why his son tried to find a way to reduce the side effects of the medication and discovered that when he mixed it with acetic anhydride, Essigsäure, it became much easier to stomach. Bayer then registered a trademark for the new medication under the name Aspirin in 1899 and started selling it around the world. First as a powder in glass bottles, but then they started pressing it into standardized pills and added the Bayer cross logo. The name Aspirin is a blend of A for acetyl and spear from spirea, which is the plant genus from which the acetyl salicylic acid, that's a complicated word to say, was originally derived from, and then they added the common chemical suffix in, aspirin. But only about 20 years
Damn. That's pretty amazing.
after aspirin first hit the market, Bayer actually lost its trademark in the US and in many other countries, which is why at American drugstores, you'll see the name aspirin on a lot of products by manufacturers
It's just crazy that it kept that same name.
that aren't Bayer. By the way, only 11 days after Felix Hoffmann synthesized aspirin, he also synthesized heroin, in the Bayer
What a legend.
lab. He wasn't
One dude made aspirin and heroin in 2 weeks. What have you done in the last 2 weeks? This guy made aspirin and heroin. Damn.
the first
What have I done?
scientist to make heroin, but it led to Bayer commercializing it in the following years and marketing it as a cough suppressant and non-addictive substitute for morphine. The name was derived from the word heroic, or in German heroisch, and it was sold for 15 years up until 1913, when it had become pretty clear how addictive the drug is.
And that also kept its name.
Next up is an invention that has been very present in the public discourse recently because it was the main topic in Christopher Nolan's movie Oppenheimer that just came out: nuclear fission and the atomic bomb. Those of you who've seen the movie might remember the scene where Oppenheimer first sees the newspaper headlines that the Germans have had a major breakthrough and actually split an atom. After scientists had been researching the nature and properties of radioactivity and radioactive substances for over 40 years, the German chemist Otto Hahn and his team discovered nuclear fission in December of 1938 at the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute for Chemistry in Berlin. They had been bombarding uranium with slow neutrons and discovered that barium was produced, so another chemical element, which suggested that the core of the atom must have burst.
Isn't it weird how history could have just been so much different if the Nazis had developed a nuclear bomb first? It's hard to really fathom.
Discovery showed that nuclear chain reaction was possible, which laid the foundation for both nuclear power and also nuclear weapons. A few years later, in 1944, Hahn actually won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for the discovery of nuclear fission. Now, right after this news first broke, the physicists at the Radiation Laboratory at the University of California,
And of course, Einstein was German. Oppenheimer studied in Germany. Like, why are the Germans so good at science?
Berkeley started experimenting with this. And this is where Robert Oppenheimer, one of the leading theoretical physicists at the time, was teaching. And a couple years later, in 1942, he was recruited to lead the research of the Manhattan Project with the goal of creating the world's first atomic bomb in order to defeat Nazi Germany and end World War II. And even though Oppenheimer was born in New York City, his family was originally from Germany. That's also why his name sounds so German, Oppenheimer. His father, Julius Seligmann Oppenheimer, was from a Jewish patrician family in Hanau, which lies in today's German state of Hesse, but at the time belonged to the Kingdom of Prussia. He came to the US at the age of 18, where he met his future wife, Ella Friedman, who was the daughter of Jewish immigrants from Bavaria. And even Robert Oppenheimer himself,
So he's like full-blown German heritage.
lived in Germany for a while in the 1920s when he got his PhD at the University of Göttingen under Max.
I like how she said we use these. I'm not critiquing her in any way. This is an excellent video. But she's like, you use these every day, nuclear fission.
So lots of German influence there when it comes to nuclear fission and the atomic bomb. Not to forget that the whole motivation to even build nuclear weapons was to fight the Nazis, who were believed to be working on nuclear weapons themselves. So whichever way you look at it, it all traces back to Germany, in good ways and in very bad ways. Now, one thing that was invented in Germany, but that you can access all over the world, is Lingoda.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy to think about that. Like, we were developing the nuclear bomb. Germans in America had to develop the nuclear bomb to fight Germans in Germany. Like, if it wasn't for the Germans in America, we'd be screwed.
Where you can learn languages online and live.
Go check out her link. Lingoda.
With experienced native level teachers. When Ben and I went to the Dominican Republic recently, it really bugged me that I didn't speak any Spanish. I only learned English and French in school, and even though I really tried, this was all I could really say by the end of our vacation. Quiero ordenar un mojito.
This is, fun fact, this is the only place I've been to outside of America, is the DR. DR is like the most basic place to go to as an American, like for an international vacation. It's right off the coast of Florida. Yeah, go check out her link. It's a fun place though. At least at the resort, it's fun. It's a very poor country. I'm not gonna lie. I think like most of their economy is, I guess I shouldn't say, I don't know. A huge chunk of their economy is definitely tourism.
5 students max, so you'll get a lot of practice and individual feedback, but it's totally in a safe space. I've never had a bad experience in the classes. Everyone always fully supports each other in their language learning progress. If you want, make sure to click on the link below for more information and use my code FAILY20 for a $25 discount on your Sprint registration. We've already talked about the German roots of the Oppenheimer story. Now let's talk about the other half of Barbenheimer. In case you missed it, the two movies both came out on the same day this year, so this whole concept of Barbenheimer became a thing. But yes, even Barbie originated in Germany. It all goes back to the launch of Germany's biggest newspaper, Bild, in 1952. Bild is a huge tabloid and criticized by many, but it seems like without it, Barbie wouldn't even exist. For their very first edition, they asked caricaturist Reinhard Beutin to create a black and white comic to fill some space. His first draft of a cute little baby didn't get approved by the editor, so he added a pout, long lashes, a ponytail, and a tall feminine body, and named the character Lily. The first comic of Lily at the Fortune Teller was a huge success, so they decided to publish.
Could you tell me the name and address of this tall, handsome, rich man? I don't get the joke. I mean, holy shit. Is that a joke? Could you tell me the name and address of this tall, handsome, rich man? Oh, she's at like some kind of like, fortune teller. And she's like, hey, can you tell me the name and address of this dude that I saw? Wow.
Published it daily for the next 9 years. Lily represented a confident woman in post-war Germany during the economic miracle of the 1950s. She was fashionable, cheeky, and openly talked about her various lovers. And a lot of the drawings showed her with minimal clothing at the beach or in the changing room. For promotional reasons, the newspaper decided to turn Lily into a real-life doll that came out in 1955 under the name Bild Lily. The doll was sold in several European countries as well as overseas, and it was available in a 30 centimeter and a 19 centimeter size. It was made of plastic with attached lashes, ear studs, and pumps, and due to the revolutionary doll making techniques that were used, it actually held 3 patents. Unlike other dolls, Lily was able to tilt her head in a flirty way, and due to the way her legs were attached, they didn't sprawl when she was sitting, they always stayed parallel, which made her
like a lady.
Even more elegant. Even though Bild Lily was initially marketed
This is kind of hilarious that this is the origin of like the most prolific girl's toy here, at least here in America.
to adults, the doll also became very popular among children who enjoyed dressing her in the various outfits that were sold separately.
It was marketed to adults. These two pilots just have a little Barbie between them. Interesting times.
Popular among children who enjoyed dressing her in the various outfits that were sold separately. The doll became so popular that there was even a movie made about the character of Lily called Lily, ein Mädchen aus der Großstadt.
So we're just repeating history at this point. With the Barbie movie and everything, we're just repeating. We've ran out of new ideas.
So Lily, a girl from the big city. Now, it was only about a year after Bild Lily first came out that the American businesswoman Ruth Handler discovered the Lily doll during a trip to Europe. Supposedly, she had been wanting to create an...
Where's this going? I discovered this little doll called Lily. I'm gonna go home and make my own doll called Barbie. And just copy every single aspect of this doll. And it's mine now.
adult fashion doll for quite a while, but her husband and the other directors at their toy company, Mattel, didn't really support the idea. Seeing
Mattel.
The success of Bild Lily showed that the concept could work though. So when Handler returned from Europe, they started to redesign the doll and first introduced their Barbie doll in
They didn't just, it's not a concept, they just stole the whole thing. Did they not? Not that it's exactly, I don't even know how patentable that all is. I mean, I guess she said the mechanisms for the head and stuff, or for the manufacturing techniques are patented. At the end of the day, it's just a tiny person. But, yeah, they just straight up stole the whole thing. That even looks just like her.
1959, named after Handler's daughter Barbara. Now, whether the idea for Barbie was stolen or it was just an inspiration as they say, I don't know. Fact is that
I know.
That Handler's company Mattel purchased the rights to Bild
Come at me, Mattel.
Lily a few years later.
Oh, they did? Well, that's good.
To take it off the German market and allow for Barbie to be sold instead.
I mean, I guess that's good, right? They better have paid a pretty penny.
And the rest is history, I guess. Okay, who of you has ever had a Fanta, or as we say in German, Fanta? It's a brand that's part of the Coca-Cola company.
I know. Isn't this like the scraps of soda that they threw together that dripped onto the factory floor and they combined it and added some orange flavor in Nazi Germany? Am I remembering this correctly?
But it was in fact invented in Germany, and the name goes back to the German word Fantasie, meaning imagination, which perfectly describes how Fanta came about because it was really created out of necessity. It all goes back to World War II, when the supply of Coca-Cola syrup to Germany was heavily affected by the trade embargo that the US had established against the Nazi regime. By 1942, the supply...
And how are you going to survive without Coca-Cola?
had completely run out, which is why the CEO of Coca-Cola Germany, Max Kite, was looking for ways to keep the company running, even without their flagship drink. Together with their chief chemist Wolfgang Schetelich, they developed a drink that was mainly made from byproducts, such as whey, which is a cheese byproduct, and apple pomace. And then they mixed it with sugar beet and different concentrated fruit juices from Italy and called it Fanta. Flavor-wise, it didn't really have a whole lot in common with Fanta today, but it kept the business running, even after the US joined the war in 1941 and the company—
Well, what did it taste like? That's what I want to know. It didn't taste anything like the Fanta today? And the Fanta today is way different in Germany and in Europe than in over here in America, right? Like, you guys use actual orange juice, whereas we just use some chemical shit.
company was completely cut off.
I mean, you guys, I'm sure, add some chemical shit to it as well. But you do use actual orange juice. Or orange. Yeah.
From the Coca-Cola
Concentrate stuff.
headquarters. In 1943 alone, 3 million cases of Fanta were sold in Germany. And what's interesting is that in a lot of cases, it wasn't even bought as a beverage, but it was used for cooking to add sweetness and flavor because sugar was severely rationed at the time. After the war, the Coca-Cola company regained full control over the German plant and the trademark to Fanta, but they actually discontinued the production in 1949. Until in 1955, a beverage company in Naples, Italy, had the idea to create an orange-flavored drink, which was then bought again by Coca-Cola in 1960, and that's the origin of the Fanta flavor that we all know today.
Yep, see, that's the European one. You can tell it looks natural in its presentation. The American one looks like it's like glowing toxic waste, because it kind of is. I'm curious as to why would they even name it Fanta if it doesn't taste like Fanta. They'd already discontinued Fanta. I guess just to capitalize off the popularity in Germany.
Even though I should say that almost every country has their own version of Fanta. And I'm not just talking about the difference of, oh, American Coke is made with high fructose corn syrup, while in Mexico and Europe it's made with sugar. No, Fanta in the US...
Don't worry, Trump is trying to change that, guys. Trump is going to make Coke great again. Make it created with real sugar. He tweeted out some shit. Look. I have been speaking to Coca-Cola about using real cane sugar. Sorry. I have been speaking to Coca-Cola about using real cane sugar in Coke in the United States, and they have agreed to do so. I'd like to thank all of those in authority at Coca-Cola. This will be a very good move by them. You'll see. It's just better. Of course that's what you're concerned about, you fat-ass idiot. Trump. And also, isn't that communism, like central planning? Like, what are you doing?
Tastes and looks...
Sorry.
Well, in Mexico and Europe, it's made with sugar. No, Fanta in the US tastes and looks completely different from Fanta in Germany. And that one's different from Fanta in Italy and Fanta in Russia and so on.
Why is Russian Fanta upside down? Or it's only upside down 2/3 of the time.
In fact, there are over 200 different Fanta flavors worldwide, but at least according...
I mean, here in America, they have like 10 different Fanta flavors. Just the original is orange.
To Ben, the one in Germany is the best. That's pretty much all he drinks when we're in Germany. And the last invention that you didn't know was German is the camera. Now, the official
I think I did know that. Kodak, right?
inventor of the camera is Joseph Nicephore Niepce from France. He created the first permanent photograph in 1826 after he had been spending years trying to find a way to capture the image of a camera obscura. That's the name of those original simple camera designs where you have some kind of darkened room, like a box, with a small hole or lens through which an image is projected onto a wall. Those have been around for hundreds of years and have even been mentioned as early as 500 BC. photography, and since the late 17th century, they had been used as an art tool by projecting an image onto a surface that could then be manually traced. But it wasn't until 1816 that Niepce constructed a prototype of his camera, and then 10 years later, figured out how to actually capture the image with an 8-hour exposure and a process.
It's always funny. I think the camera is a great example of showing how slow technology used to progress compared to today. It took like 50 years to go from... It took actually longer than that, you know, like she just explained. You know, to develop this technology. 10 years later, they figured out you could do this.
That he called
this one little, you know, iteration upgrade.
Heliography. This is the photograph that he captured on a pewter plate, the very first photograph, and it shows the view from his window at Le Gras in France. But did you know that the first person who envisioned a camera that would be small and portable enough for practical photography was actually a German? In 1685, so pretty early, the German author Johann Sahn described and drew both the camera obscura and the so-called magic lantern, as well as different projection types, lenses, reflectors, and so on in his book Oculus Artificialis. It was the first time that the idea of a lens cover was introduced, which was a crucial development in the history of the camera because it meant that the screen could be kept dark while the operator changed the slide. It just took another 150 years after Zahn published that book before technology caught up to the point where it was actually possible to build this. So granted, Germans only played a side role here.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought Kodak... I don't know, man. Is Kodak a German company? I don't know anymore. Nope. I just made that shit up. Fake info. Fake news.
But I thought this was pretty cool, and this wasn't all. Because about 90 years after the first photograph was taken, it was the German inventor Oskar Barnack who developed the first 35mm compact camera at the company Leitz, the Leica.
Oh, nice.
Leitz.
Well, there you go.
Camera. Many of you
Lights, camera, action.
are probably familiar
That should have been their tagline.
with the brand Leica to this day. The first
I actually am not familiar with that brand.
prototype, the Urleica, was developed in 1913.
Which is a little surprising. I mean, I certainly am familiar with a reasonable amount of camera stuff, you know. But I guess not that much, because I don't know Leica.
But due to World War I interfering here, the camera wasn't commercialized until 1925 as the Leica 1. It was an immediate hit,
Wow.
which of course spawned a lot of competitors, such as the companies Contax and Kodak, also both from Germany.
Wait, what? Kodak, what? Okay, I don't know. I guess Kodak has a German subsidiary that was responsible for a lot of it, like these developments. Maybe that's what I was thinking of.
As well as others, such as the companies Contax and Kodak, also both from Germany, as well as Argus from Michigan or Canon from Japan. And today we all have a camera in our phone and our laptop and use it pretty much every single day. But what do you guys think? What other major German inventions deserve more attention? Let me know in the comments below. And if
You know your country is responsible for a lot of major inventions when in a list of 5 major inventions, they don't even mention the printing press or the car. That was a great video. That was very educational. Check out Feely from Germany. Always excellent. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.